My name is Alex Foster, and I've learned that marriage is a lot like debugging code. You think you found all the problems until the whole system crashes spectacularly. I'm 34, work as an IT consultant in Seattle, and drive a blue Lamborghini Huracán. The car was my one moment of financial insanity, bought during a particularly good quarter when 3 major clients paid their invoices on the same day. My wife Jade calls it my midlife crisis mobile, though I'm pretty sure 34 is too early for that particular breakdown. Jade Foster, née Williams, is 29 and has transformed from a marketing executive into what she calls a lifestyle influencer. She has 2.4 million followers on Instagram who hang on her every perfectly filtered word. She's stunning in that way that makes waiters forget other tables exist and makes me wonder daily how I convinced her to marry me. These days, though, I'm starting to wonder if she's asking herself the same question. "Alex, can you move? You're blocking my light," Jade says, not looking up from her phone as she arranges avocado toast on our kitchen counter. She's wearing a crop top that probably costs more than most people's car payments, and her blonde hair falls in waves that took her 45 minutes to achieve this morning. I step aside, coffee mug in hand, watching her work. She takes 17 photos of the same piece of toast, adjusting the angle of her coffee cup between each shot. Her friend Lexi sits at our dining table, scrolling through her own phone and occasionally offering commentary. "That one's perfect, babe," Lexi says, pointing at Jade's screen. "Very authentic breakfast vibes." Authentic. Right. The toast is gluten-free bread that costs $8 a loaf, the avocado is organic and shipped from some farm in California, and the coffee cup is positioned to show the designer logo. But sure, authentic. "I need to post something relatable today," Jade mutters, typing frantically. "My engagement is down 3% this week." I sip my coffee and watch this performance. 6 months ago, Jade would have eaten that toast while reading the news on her laptop, maybe mentioning some interesting article she'd found. Now everything is content. Our anniversary dinner became a sponsored post for the restaurant. Our weekend trip to Vancouver turned into a collaboration with a hotel chain. Even our arguments get referenced in her real talk stories about navigating relationships in your 20s. "Did you see Brett's latest post?" Lexi asks, showing her phone to Jade. "He got 50,000 likes in 2 hours. Before we deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Brett Calloway, social media manager, personal trainer, and the kind of guy who refers to himself as an entrepreneur, despite never actually starting a business. He's 38, but dresses like he's 25, all designer sneakers and carefully distressed jeans. He manages social media accounts for several local influencers, including Jade. "Brett's really good at what he does," Jade says, and something in her tone makes me look up from my laptop. "What exactly does he do again?" I ask. "Content strategy, audience engagement, brand partnerships," Jade rattles off. "He's helping me pivot my brand toward lifestyle and wellness." "Ah," I say. "Pivoting. Very entrepreneurial." Jade gives me a look. "Not everyone can just sit behind a computer all day, Alex." "Someone has to pay for the avocado toast," I reply. Lexi laughs, but Jade doesn't. She's been doing that lately, taking every joke as a personal attack. Her phone buzzes, and her face lights up as she reads the notification. "Brett wants to do a collaboration this weekend," she announces. Something about authentic outdoor content. "What kind of outdoor content?" I ask. "I don't know yet. He's still working out the details." She's already typing a response, fingers flying across her screen. I notice she doesn't invite me to join this outdoor adventure. 6 months ago, I would have been automatically included in weekend plans. Now I find out about them through her Instagram stories, like the rest of her followers. That evening, Jade disappears into our bedroom for a strategy call with Brett that lasts 2 hours. I can hear her laughing through the door, the kind of bright, genuine laugh I haven't heard directed at me in weeks. I'm debugging a client's database when she finally emerges, phone still in hand. "How was your call?" I ask. "Really productive. Brett has some amazing ideas for growing my platform." She settles onto the couch next to me, but her attention stays on her phone. "He thinks I should be more vulnerable in my content. Show the real me." "Which real you? The one who spent 45 minutes on her hair this morning, or the one who's been on her phone for the past 3 hours?" "You're being mean," she says, but she's not really listening. Her thumb scrolls endlessly through her feed, double-tapping hearts on other people's lives. I close my laptop and look at her. Really look at her. When did we stop talking? When did every conversation become about follower counts and engagement rates and brand partnerships? "Jade," I say. "Mm-hmm." She doesn't look up. When's the last time we had dinner without you taking pictures of it? I don't know. Why? Just wondering. She finally looks at me, and for a moment I see something that might be the old Jade, the one who used to steal bites of my dessert and argue with me about movies and fall asleep reading books instead of scrolling through social media. Are you okay? She asks. Yeah, I lie. I'm fine. But I'm not fine. I'm watching my wife disappear into her phone, into a world of likes and comments and validation from strangers. I'm watching our marriage become content for her followers, our private moments transformed into public performances. And I'm starting to suspect that Brett Calloway is helping her with more than just her content strategy. The text message arrives at 2:47 p.m. on a Thursday while I'm in a client meeting. Crashed your Lambo into the lake. Oops. I excuse myself from the conference room and call Jade immediately. It goes straight to voicemail. I call again. Still voicemail. My hands are shaking as I text back. What happened? Are you hurt? No response. I grab my keys and drive to Lake Washington, where Jade mentioned she was shooting content earlier. The drive takes 23 minutes, and during those 23 minutes, my mind cycles through every possible scenario. Car accident, medical emergency, insurance fraud. I'm hoping for insurance fraud. When I arrive at the lakeside parking area, I see a crowd of people with phones out, filming something in the water. My blue Lamborghini is nose down in the lake, rear end sticking up like a very expensive tombstone. Jade stands on the shore in a white sundress, tears streaming down her face as she talks to her phone camera. Brett holds a professional camera, circling her like a vulture, capturing every angle of her distress. I can't believe this happened, she's saying to her phone. I was just trying to get the perfect shot for you guys, and the car started rolling. I'm so grateful I wasn't hurt, but Alex is going to be devastated. This car meant everything to him. I walk up behind her. Alex is standing right here. She spins around, and for just a second, I see something that isn't grief cross her face. Annoyance, maybe? Or calculation. Oh my God, baby, I'm so sorry, she says, throwing her arms around me. It was an accident. I was setting up for a shot, and I must have forgotten to put it in park, and it just rolled right into the water. Brett lowers his camera, but keeps filming with his phone. This is incredible content, he murmurs to Lexi, who's also recording everything. Authentic tragedy. This is going to go viral. How exactly did this happen? I ask, looking from Jade to Brett to my car, which is now completely submerged except for about 2 feet of rear bumper. I was posing next to the car, Jade explains, gesturing dramatically. You know how I always do that thing where I lean against the hood? Well, I accidentally bumped the gear shift when I was getting out, and it started rolling toward the water. I tried to stop it, but it was too heavy. You tried to stop a rolling car with your bare hands? I was panicking. I walk to the edge of the water and look at my Lamborghini, the car I saved for 3 years to buy, the car I researched for months before purchasing, the car I've babied and maintained and loved like a pet. Did anyone call the police? I ask. They're on their way, Brett says. I called them right after it happened. Of course he did. Can't have a proper viral moment without official documentation. 2 police officers arrive 15 minutes later, followed by a tow truck that specializes in water recovery. Officer Martinez takes statements while Officer Chen directs the recovery operation. So, you were taking photographs? Martinez asks Jade. I'm an influencer, Jade explains. I was creating content for my followers. It was supposed to be a simple car shoot, but then this terrible accident happened. She's good at this. The tears, the trembling voice, the way she keeps touching her heart. If I didn't know her so well, I might believe her myself. And where were you when the vehicle entered the water? Martinez asks me. At work. I got a text about the accident and drove straight here. Martinez nods and makes notes. The tow truck operator emerges from the water and shakes his head. She's completely flooded, he says. Engine, interior, electronics. This car is totaled. I watch them pull my Lamborghini from the lake, water pouring from every opening. The paint job I spent extra money on is already starting to fade. The leather interior I specially ordered is ruined. The sound system that costs more than most people's monthly rent is destroyed. I'm so sorry, baby, Jade says, squeezing my arm. Insurance will cover it, right? We'll see. What I don't tell her is that I installed a dash cam 6 months ago. A discreet little device that records everything and saves footage to a removable SD card. A device that's waterproof and designed to survive crashes. While everyone is focused on the car extraction, I wade into the shallow water near the shore and locate the dash cam. The SD card pops out easily, and I slip it into my pocket. Accidents happen, I tell Jade, forcing a smile. Hope the content was worth it. That evening, Jade's video goes viral. 2 million views in 6 hours. The comments are overwhelmingly sympathetic. Poor Jade. So glad you're okay. Cars can be replaced, but you can't. Your husband is so lucky to have such a caring wife. She gains 40,000 new followers overnight. 3 brands reach out about sponsorship opportunities. Someone starts a GoFundMe to help replace the car. I sit in my home office and watch the footage from the dash cam. The video is crystal clear, even underwater. It shows Jade posing next to the car, then deliberately reaching inside to shift it into drive. It shows Brett encouraging her, telling her to make it look natural. It shows Lexi positioning herself to get the best angle of the car rolling into the water. It shows my wife committing insurance fraud for social media content. I make 3 copies of the video and email them to myself, along with a detailed timeline of events. Then I call our insurance company and schedule a meeting to discuss the claim. Alex, Jade calls from the living room. Can you come here? I want to do a video thanking everyone for their support, and I think it would be really powerful if you were in it. I'll be right there, I call back. But first, I upload the dashcam footage to a secure cloud server. Then I send copies to the insurance company, the police department, and 3 of Jade's biggest sponsors. By morning, Jade's sponsorship deals are suspended pending investigation. The police reopen the case. The insurance company launches a fraud investigation, and I'm just getting started. Jade's world begins to crumble on a Tuesday morning when she receives a certified letter from Lux Beauty, her biggest sponsor. What do you mean, suspended pending investigation? She demands, waving the letter at me across our kitchen table. Investigation of what? I have no idea, I say, buttering my toast. What do you think they might be investigating? She stares at me for a long moment, and I can see the wheels turning. She's smart enough to know that someone sent them something, but not smart enough to figure out what. This is ridiculous, she mutters, grabbing her phone. I'm calling Brett. Brett arrives 20 minutes later, still wearing gym clothes and smelling like protein powder. He kisses Jade's cheek in greeting, a casual gesture that would have bothered me more if I didn't already know exactly how this was going to end. The same thing happened to 3 of my other clients, he tells Jade, settling onto our couch like he owns it. Someone's targeting influencers with false fraud claims. It's probably a competitor trying to take you down. What kind of false fraud claims? I ask. Brett barely glances at me. Insurance stuff. Someone's been sending fake evidence to companies, trying to make it look like accidents were staged. Fake evidence, I repeat. Interesting. The good news is that truth always comes out, Brett continues. Once the investigation is complete, you'll be cleared, and this will just make your story more compelling. Overcoming adversity, fighting false accusations, your followers will love it. Jade nods eagerly. That's actually brilliant. We could document the whole process. Show people what it's like when someone tries to tear you down for no reason. I finish my toast and stand up. Well, I'm sure everything will work out exactly as it should. That afternoon, I visit my lawyer, Patricia Williams. She's 63, sharp as a scalpel, and has been handling my business contracts for 5 years. I want to file for divorce. I tell her, I'm sorry to hear that, Alex. What are the grounds? I slide the SD card across her desk. Fraud, adultery, take your pick. Patricia reviews the dashcam footage with the detached professionalism of someone who's seen every possible way humans can disappoint each other. This is quite clear, she says. Intentional destruction of property, insurance fraud, conspiracy. Your wife and her associate could face criminal charges. I don't want criminal charges. I want something better. What did you have in mind? I tell her my plan. She listens without interruption, occasionally making notes. When I finish, she leans back in her chair and smiles. It's creative, she admits, and completely legal. When do you want to start? Immediately. The next morning, Jade receives divorce papers at her favorite coffee shop, delivered by a process server while she's filming herself drinking a $20 matcha latte. The whole thing is captured by her own camera and posted to her Instagram story before she realizes what's happening. The comments are immediate and brutal. Wait, she's getting divorced? Plot twist nobody saw coming. Her husband must have seen the car video. This is better than reality TV. Jade calls me 17 times in the first hour. I let them all go to voicemail. When I finally answer on the 18th call, she's hysterical. How could you do this to me? She screams. In public? In front of my followers? I figured you'd appreciate the content, I say. Very authentic. Very vulnerable. This isn't funny, Alex. You're destroying my career. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just being transparent about our relationship status. Isn't transparency what your followers want? She hangs up on me. That evening, Brett shows up at my office building. I'm working late, debugging a client's e-commerce platform, when security calls to tell me there's someone in the lobby asking to see me. I find Brett pacing near the elevators, his usual confident demeanor replaced by something that looks almost like panic. "We need to talk," he says. "About what?" "About this divorce thing, about the accusations you're making." "What accusations?" "I haven't made any accusations, I just filed for divorce." Brett steps closer, trying to use his height advantage to intimidate me. He's got 4 inches and probably 30 pounds on me, all of it muscle from his daily gym sessions. "Look, man, I know you're upset about the car, but Jade didn't mean for that to happen. It was an accident." "Was it?" "Of course it was. Why would she crash your car on purpose?" I pretend to consider this. "You're right. Why would anyone crash a $60,000 car on purpose, unless they were getting something out of it, like content, or followers, or insurance money? You're paranoid." "Am I? Or am I just paying attention?" Brett's jaw tightens. "Jade loves you, man. She's devastated about this divorce thing. Maybe you should think about what you're throwing away." "What am I throwing away, exactly?" "A beautiful wife, a good marriage, a woman who's built something amazing." "Built on what foundation?" "What's that supposed to mean?" I step closer to him, close enough that he has to look down to meet my eyes. "It means I know exactly what kind of foundation you helped her build, Brett, and I know exactly how stable it really is." For just a moment, his confident mask slips, and I see something that might be fear. "I don't know what you think you know," he says, "but you're making a mistake." "The only mistake I made was trusting my wife. But don't worry, I won't make that mistake again." I turn and walk toward the elevator. Behind me, I hear Brett say, "You're going to regret this." I press the button for my floor and smile as the doors close. He's right about one thing. Someone is definitely going to regret this. But it's not going to be me. Brett lives in a smart apartment complex in Belltown, the kind of place where everything is controlled by apps and voice commands. Keyless entry, automated lighting, climate control that learns your preferences. It's the perfect setup for someone who wants to look successful on social media. It's also the perfect setup for someone with my particular skill set. I spend 3 days researching the building's systems. The property management company uses a third-party service for their smart home integration. The service has a known vulnerability in their API that was reported 6 months ago but never patched. On Friday evening, while Brett is at the gym posting videos of himself deadlifting, I'm sitting in my car outside his building with my laptop, exploiting that vulnerability to gain access to his apartment's control systems. The beauty of smart homes is that everything is connected. Lights, locks, speakers, climate control, even the coffee maker, all running on the same network, all accessible through the same compromised system. At 9:47 p.m., Brett returns from the gym, posts a selfie about crushing his workout, and heads inside. I wait until I see his apartment lights come on, then I begin. First, I lock him out of his own smart lock system. Then I turn his thermostat up to 85 degrees. Then I activate his sound system and begin playing a carefully curated playlist. The playlist consists entirely of audio clips I've extracted from Jade's Instagram stories and private messages. Her fake crying from the car crash video. Her complaining about our marriage to her friends. Her discussing her content strategy with Brett in voices she thought no one else would hear. I've edited them into a loop that plays at maximum volume through every speaker in his apartment. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. "What the hell is happening to my apartment?" I text back, "Technical difficulties. Have you tried turning it off and on again?" "This isn't funny. Let me back in." "I'm not sure what you mean. Have you contacted technical support?" 20 minutes later, I see Brett in the building's lobby, arguing with the night security guard and gesturing frantically at his phone. The guard looks confused and keeps shaking his head. I decide to escalate things. I turn on every light in Brett's apartment and begin flashing them in a strobe pattern. Then I activate his smart TV and begin displaying a slideshow of screenshots from his private messages with Jade, blown up to 75-inch clarity. Messages about their collaboration, messages about keeping their strategy sessions secret from me, messages about how I'm too boring to understand what they're building together. Brett's phone buzzes constantly as neighbors complain about the noise and lights. The building's management company receives automated alerts about system malfunctions. The whole situation cascades into exactly the kind of public spectacle that Brett normally loves to create, except this time he's not controlling the narrative. At 11:23 p.m., Brett finally gains access to his apartment by convincing the security guard to use the building's master override. By then, half his neighbors have complained to management, someone has called the police about a possible break-in, and the whole incident has been captured on multiple phones by residents who thought they were witnessing some kind of domestic dispute. I pack up my laptop and drive home, where I find Jade pacing around our living room, phone pressed to her ear. "No, Brett, I don't know anything about it," she's saying. "Why would Alex know how to hack your apartment?" She sees me and covers the phone. "Where have you been?" "Working late. Client emergency." Brett's having some kind of technical problem with his smart home system. All his devices are malfunctioning. "That's weird," I say. "Those systems are usually pretty reliable." She goes back to her phone call, and I head to my office to review the evening's work. I've recorded everything through Brett's own security cameras, which were also connected to the compromised network. The footage shows Brett's increasing panic as his apartment turns against him. It shows him trying to manually override systems that won't respond. It shows him standing in his hallway, locked out of his own home, while his private conversations with my wife broadcast through the building's thin walls. I upload the best clips to a file-sharing service and send anonymous links to 3 gossip blogs that specialize in influencer drama. By morning, Brett's humiliation is trending on social media. Someone has turned his strobe light meltdown into a TikTok dance. His private messages with Jade are being dissected by drama channels. His carefully curated image as a smooth, professional social media expert has been replaced by videos of him begging a security guard to let him into his own apartment. Jade's phone hasn't stopped ringing since she woke up. "This is a disaster," she tells me over breakfast, scrolling through the coverage. "Someone leaked Brett's private messages. People are saying we were having an affair." "Were you?" "Of course not. We were just working together." "On what kind of work requires keeping secrets from your husband?" She doesn't answer, but her face tells me everything I need to know. My phone buzzes with a text from Brett. "I know this was you." I text back, "Sorry, I think you have the wrong number. I'm just a boring IT guy, remember? This isn't over." "You're right. It's just getting started." The showdown comes on a Saturday morning, 3 weeks after Brett's apartment incident. Jade receives a call from someone claiming to represent a documentary crew interested in telling her real story about overcoming false accusations and rebuilding her brand. They want to film at the lake, she tells me excitedly, where the accident happened. They think it would be powerful to show me returning to the scene and talking about how I've grown from this experience. Sounds like great content, I say. I know, right? Brett thinks this could be the comeback moment I need. He's already planning the whole thing. Of course he is. What Jade doesn't know is that I'm the one who called her, using a voice-changing app and a fake production company name. What she doesn't know is that I've spent the past week preparing for this moment, gathering every piece of evidence, every recorded conversation, every screenshot and video clip that documents their conspiracy. What she doesn't know is that Pete, my friend who manages the lakeside bar, has agreed to help me stage the final act of this drama. Saturday morning arrives gray and drizzly, typical Seattle weather that matches my mood perfectly. I arrive at the lake early and position myself in Pete's bar, which has a perfect view of the shoreline where my Lamborghini took its final swim. At 10 a.m., Jade arrives with Brett, Lexi, and Tyler, her videographer. They've brought professional equipment, portable lights, and enough camera gear to film a small movie. Jade is wearing a white dress similar to the one she wore during the original accident, because consistency is important for her brand narrative. "This is perfect," Brett says, surveying the scene. "We'll start with Jade walking slowly toward the water, looking contemplative. Then she'll talk about growth, resilience, overcoming adversity." "What about the fraud allegations?" Tyler asks, adjusting his camera settings. "We don't use the word fraud," Brett corrects him. "We call them misunderstandings or false accusations. The narrative is that Jade is an innocent victim of online harassment." They begin filming. Jade walks toward the water's edge, her expression carefully arranged into something that might pass for vulnerability if you don't know her as well as I do. 3 weeks ago, I stood in this exact spot and experienced one of the worst moments of my life, she says to the camera. Not just because of the accident, but because of how some people tried to twist that accident into something it wasn't. She pauses for effect, letting a single tear roll down her cheek. But I've learned that when people try to tear you down, the only response is to rise higher, to show them that their lies can't define your truth. It's a good performance. If I didn't have video evidence of her deliberately crashing my car, I might almost believe her myself. That's when I decide to make my entrance. I walk out of Pete's bar carrying a laptop bag and approach their filming setup. Brett sees me first and immediately steps forward, trying to block my path. "Alex, what are you doing here?" Jade asks, her camera-ready composure slipping slightly. "I heard you were filming a documentary about truth," I say. "I thought I might contribute some actual truth to the project." This is a private filming session, Brett says. You need to leave. Actually, this is a public park, I reply. I have as much right to be here as anyone. I open my laptop and connect it to a portable speaker I've brought. Tyler, ever the professional, keeps his camera rolling, sensing that whatever's about to happen will be more interesting than Jade's scripted monologue. What are you doing? Jade demands. Providing context, I say, pressing play. The dashcam footage begins playing through my speaker, crystal clear audio of Jade and Brett planning the car crash, discussing how to make it look accidental, calculating the potential social media impact. Jade's face goes white. Brett lunges for my laptop, but I've anticipated this and step back, keeping the device out of his reach. Turn that off, Jade screams. That's private. Actually, it's evidence, I say. Evidence of insurance fraud, conspiracy, and adultery. The footage continues playing. We hear Brett encouraging Jade to sell the emotion when she films her reaction video. We hear them laughing about how Alex will never figure it out, because he's too boring to understand social media. Tyler keeps filming, now pointing his camera back and forth between the laptop screen and Jade's increasingly panicked face. Lexi has her phone out, live streaming the whole confrontation to her own followers. This is illegal, Brett shouts. You can't record people without their consent. Actually, in Washington state, only one party needs to consent to recording a conversation, I reply. And since this was recorded by a dashcam in my own car, I'm that consenting party. More people are gathering now. Pete has emerged from his bar, along with several customers who heard the commotion. A jogger has stopped to watch. Someone is filming from the parking lot. But wait, I say. There's more. I switch to the audio recordings I made of Brett's apartment meltdown, his panicked phone calls to Jade, his threats and promises of revenge. Then I play the screenshots of their private messages, the ones where they discuss using our marriage as content for their respective social media brands. Stop this, Jade pleads. Please, Alex, we can work this out. Work what out? The fraud, the lies, the fact that you destroyed my car for Instagram likes? It was just content. It wasn't supposed to hurt anyone. Just content, I repeat. Our marriage was just content. My car was just content. My trust was just content. Brett makes another grab for my laptop, but this time Pete steps in, all 6'3" of him creating an effective barrier. I think you should leave, Pete tells Brett. This is harassment, Brett protests. This is consequences, I correct him. The final piece of evidence is the recording I made yesterday when I called Brett pretending to be a reporter from a tech blog. During that conversation, he admitted to helping Jade stage the car crash, described their strategy for rebuilding her brand around the false accusations, and revealed that they've been planning to monetize their relationship through a joint YouTube channel. By the time the audio finishes playing, Jade is crying real tears for the first time in months. Brett is shouting threats that everyone is recording, and Tyler is still filming everything with professional dedication. You've ruined everything, Jade screams at me. My career, my reputation, my life. I didn't ruin anything, I say, closing my laptop. I just showed people who you really are. Brett steps forward, his hands clenched into fists, but Pete moves between us again. You want to be really careful about your next move, Pete tells him quietly. The crowd has grown larger. Someone has called the police. Multiple people are live streaming. This confrontation is being broadcast to thousands of viewers in real time, spreading across social media platforms faster than Jade's original car crash video. This isn't over, Brett says, but his voice lacks conviction. Yes, it is, I reply. It's completely over. I pack up my equipment and walk back toward Pete's bar, leaving Jade and Brett standing by the water where my Lamborghini once sank. Behind me, I can hear Jade begging Tyler to delete his footage, offering him money, promising him better opportunities. Tyler keeps filming. By evening, the confrontation videos have millions of views across multiple platforms. Jade's remaining sponsors drop her. Brett's other clients fire him. The police reopen their fraud investigation based on the new evidence. I sit in Pete's bar, drinking a beer and watching the rain fall on Lake Washington. My phone buzzes constantly with interview requests, friend requests, and messages from strangers who want to congratulate me or offer their own stories of social media betrayal. I ignore them all. Through the window, I can see the spot where my car went under. The insurance company will eventually pay out the claim now that fraud charges have been filed. I'll buy a new car, maybe something less flashy. Pete joins me at the window, carrying his own beer. Feel better? He asks. Ask me tomorrow. What are you going to do now? I consider this question while watching the rain create ripples on the lake's surface. Jade and Brett are finished. Their influencer careers are over. their reputations destroyed, their conspiracy exposed. They'll face legal consequences, financial ruin, and the kind of public humiliation that follows you forever in the digital age. Now I'm going to debug some code, I say. Fix some servers, solve some problems that actually have solutions. Pete nods. Sounds peaceful. Yeah, I agree. It does. Outside, the storm continues, washing the lake clean.